Oh, without further ado, I am thrilled to welcome the cast and exec producer of Outlander. So we have Meryl Davis, Caitriona Balfe, Sam Heughan, and Tobias Menzies.
Hello.
Hi there.
Has there ever been less men in an Apple store?
So welcome. Thank you guys for participating in this. So season 2, getting started. The show, season 1, has obviously become such a phenomenon. At what point during production on season 1 did you have an inkling that, this might be a hit, this might work? You want to start?
I'm not sure we thought for sure it would be a hit. I think we hoped, but I think unlike any other show we'd ever been on, for myself and Ron, we didn't have the social media aspect of the show before on Battlestar Galactica. Twitter did not exist. And I think we were aware of the fandom and we had a lot of support from the fans, so we hoped and we knew the fans would show up, but I think we weren't sure that anyone else would.
What about the cast? When you were making it, did you think, this is working?
Well, I had never even filmed a single episode of television before, so everything was so new to me. But from day one, there felt like a special alchemy on set between the cast and the crew and the producers and writing team. And it just felt right, I think, from day one. And so you hope that that feeling is going to translate into the show and then onto fans. So,
And we were certainly nervous about presenting it, and actually season 2 is no different. I think we're equally nervous for you guys to see it, and excited as well. But there's always that anticipation when you've finished working on something that's so consuming that hopefully that people enjoy it. Seen it? Have you all seen it? Wow.
Do we like season 2 so far? Tobias, do you want to weigh in?
I suppose you never really know. You start off with the best intentions and getting the best people involved that you can. And I think we do have a wonderful team. But I think maybe even given all that, it's very exciting to see the response that we're getting. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, Sam, that you brought up the sort of expectations for season 2. Can you guys talk a little bit about any nerves for meeting expectations? I mean, the show has kind of a rabid fan base. I mean, so how did it feel going in, sort of, performance anxiety, anything like that?
Well, I know from our perspective.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I can't speak to their performances, but I think anytime you produce a television show, you have that dreaded sophomore slump that everyone talks about, and you worry, God, we had such a great season. The first season, everyone was so receptive. It was critically acclaimed. Can we do it again? So, but I really do think we all feel very good about the second season, and it's just as strong as the first one.
I think the first few weeks, me and Caitriona were like, well, where are these characters that we loved? And it's really interesting, the journey they go on. They surprise us. They're not being themselves. They're kind of going against their type. Jamie is a very straightforward, very honest, very trustworthy man, and here he is kind of doing, undermining people and being deceitful. And it's interesting to see how that then affects their relationship.
yeah, I mean, I remember right before we started season 2 calling a few friends who've been on shows that have run for multiple years. And I was like, how does it feel like when you go back? Because I think I was so afraid that you would get back and on the first day it would feel like you never left season 1 and it would be almost like Groundhog Day. But, it felt so fresh and so new. And I think the great thing about our show is that the story just keeps going to these new places and it's always exciting and it just always feels fresh. And that was one of the great surprises about this season.
From the design to the costuming, it really did feel like climbing another mountain, in a way. And so that really, I think, kept us all on our toes. And I think has resulted in some great material. But it is very different, I think. Yeah.
So this season, I probably don't have to tell anyone here this, but we find the Frasers in France, and they're devising a plan to infiltrate the Jacobites and save Highland culture. Let's take a look at a clip from the premiere where Claire is explaining to Jamie how they're going to do this. Without the chemistry between Claire and Jamie, there would be no show. So I'm curious to know if it was chemistry at first sight, how this came to be.
Well, for us, I mean, I usually oversee casting with the writers, so we all do it together. And obviously, we found Jamie, Sam, very early, and we always joke that he would be the hardest to cast. And I said, oh my God, he's going to be the UPS guy in Scotland. Like, we'll never find him. So I think we were a little surprised that we found him so quickly.
Yeah. Royal Mail, I think.
Yes. And then, obviously with Claire, we thought, oh, it'd be so easy. There's so many, strong, amazing female actresses out there, and we just could not find her. And we got very close. We were about 3 weeks away from filming, and Tony Graffia, one of our writers, actually found Caitriona's audition. It was on our log, but somehow we had missed it. And we brought her out with Sam. And for us, we immediately knew she was something special. And when we saw them together, for us, we immediately knew, because I think, as you said, this show would not work without these two. If we don't get those two right, it's just, we're dead in the water. So we had to wait for her.
Worth the wait.
We've been so lucky, and actually all three of them, we've just I thank my lucky stars every day. I try not to tell them very often, but.
Did you guys feel like it worked immediately?
Well, I just remember Sam was testing quite a few actresses at the time.
It was a hard job.
But I just remember walking into the room, and I may have been running 10 minutes late, which was not very good. But I was nervous, and I walked into the room, and Sam immediately was just this presence of calm and made the whole process very easy. And we started chatting about Scotland, and then when we got into the scenes, both of us just really went for it, and it was very fun, and any nerves disappeared. And so I think from that moment, it was like, oh, this is, if I get this will be a great guy to work with.
We were doing one of the scenes was about snakes and their appendages, but also the other one was the scene by the river after Jamie's rescued Claire, and it got very physical very quickly, and I just remember us like literally tearing chunks out of each other, and at one point
I think you walloped me.
I might have put you in a bear hug, and I remember seeing you like looking really we're being live streamed, aren't we, being really annoyed with me, and I just suddenly thought, this is great. She's like, yeah, gonna give it right back.
So you undoubtedly know that there's a large segment of your very passionate fan base that really would love for you to be an actual couple in real life. I wanted to know if you take that
Me
as
and Tobias.
Yes.
We are actually, we wanted to save it up for this event.
But do you take that as a compliment that, people want it to continue off screen, that you do it so well and you're so believable as a couple on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to take it that obviously people believe in that relationship and they believe in what we're doing, and that's always a great thing as an actor. We're here to make make believe reality for people. So yeah, I guess that's a compliment.
I think there's something that happens between actors that you get like a bond, and you get a bond very quickly, and I think it's kind of hard for people outside of that to kind of understand quite what that is. But yeah, we're very good friends.
So Tobias, you play two very different characters. Claire's 20th century husband, Frank, and also Blackjack Randall. Some fans of Blackjack in the house. Which one is more fun to play? Let me guess. No.
I mean, obviously, superficially, I think Jack is by far the more sort of ostentatious and the flasher of the two. But I think, as is manifest in episode 1 of the second series, Frank is increasingly an incredibly interesting ingredient in the overall tapestry of this piece. You know, so yeah.
You just set up the next clip perfectly. So let's look at the next clip. Tobias, do you ever feel bummed out that maybe fans are mad at you for coming between Claire and Jamie?
Well, I mean, I think the truth about it is that, you know, a show in which Jamie and Claire just had a lovely time and, you know, went off into the sunshine would be a sort of unwatchable show. So
I don't know about that.
Well, okay, well, each to their own. I'm not sure I'd be watching it, but so I think every good story needs obstacles and it needs grit, and you know, someone said, you know, you can't make a pearl without a grain of sand, and so and I think certainly in Jack and to a certain extent with Frank, you have some pretty great grains of sand.
Should we talk about the sex scenes? To put it mildly, fans kind of like this part of the story. So I'm just wondering, how much did you talk about it before? Did you rehearse? Like, what is the process of sort of getting comfortable with each other?
Well, the wedding episode, we had carved out, I think, almost a day of rehearsals, right? We were very lucky in season 1 that we devoted a lot of time to rehearsing. And, you know, Anne Kenny wrote this beautiful script, and we had Anna Forrester who was directing it. And yes. And so the 4 of us, Sam and I and Anna and Anne, we got together and we talked a lot about the journey that this couple were going to go on over the course of this night. And Ron had always said that, you know, each time that they make love was going to tell something else about where they were at. So you have the first time that is very awkward, and it's Jamie's first time, and they're just meeting, and it's really just a contractual obligation in a way. And then they spend the night talking, and they start to get to know each other a bit more, and then you see the barriers come down, and the second time is really maybe more passionate, and then by the third time it's a couple falling in love. So it was very important for us to tell that story that way. But you know, it's an important part of this story. It's an integral to the character of Claire. It's integral to their relationship, and you know, we try and devote as much time and care as we can to give that an honest portrayal.
So now we're a little bit into the future, and how in season 2 they're married. Claire is expecting. How has that shifted their relationship, but also, of course, the trauma that Jamie undergoes at the end of the first season?
I think, you know, Caitriona and I actually were, we felt quite strongly about, you know, that we continued that story. But obviously Jamie is still sort of suffering from what Blackjack has done to him. Blackjack's affected his mind, most importantly, and whenever he thinks of Claire, he thinks of Blackjack. So they have this relationship that feels less close, it feels less intimate. And obviously Claire's trying to do everything she can to help Jamie, and they try and find a way back to each other. And actually, the thing that really binds them in season 2 is the unborn child and the fact they're going to be parents. And I think those are the moments that actually we see the most intimacy between the two characters. But I think, I think you'll be surprised. Season 2 is different. You know, it's a more grown-up relationship, and it takes time to heal, and it takes time for them to get closer to each other. But when it does, it really sort of bonds them further and makes their relationship grow even more.
But I think the other thing to remember is, unlike the books, we didn't have the Abbey. It wasn't in France, it was in Scotland. And in the book, you'll probably remember that there are several months that take place between the unfortunate events between Jamie and Blackjack and their journey to France. And because we didn't do that, there was only like a week between that now. And we had to kind of take that, that change of time and incorporate it into the story, because it really didn't make sense that Jamie would all of a sudden be healed and put this all behind him after a week. So we just had to change things a little bit so the relationship has to kind of get back to that place it was.
So the horrific sexual assault at the end of season 1. How has I imagine that public response and just the way that the show dealt with it so sensitively and not rushing the healing and recovery, what has the response been from just people who have perhaps come up to you and commented or...
I think, obviously that's part of what happens at the end of season 1. And it's very big for Jamie. But actually, what's more important, I think, and more interesting for us was, and Tobias will probably back me up, that we looked at more, it's about a study of breaking down Jamie's character and breaking his mind. You can do whatever you want to Jamie's body. Ultimately, you can't break him. He's got Claire as this fortress, this fortitude, and Blackjack realizes that, and so that's what he wants to break. He wants to break that, that strength in Jamie, and I think that's what's really interesting.
We definitely rooted it in that the sexual attack was a tool rather than the aim, so that he's using sexual aggression to unpick this man, and hopefully that makes it more complicated, more psychological, and less just gratuitous, I guess. Yeah.
And in the sort of the arc of breaking down Jamie, that comes on kind of early on. It's towards the very end, the point that he's really broken Jamie when he brands him. I think that's the point when Jamie loses Claire, and I think it's then interesting to see Jamie as a character rebuild himself.
So, getting a little bit into season 2 a little bit more, as you said, it's very different. We're no longer in Scotland. We're in Louis XV's France. Did you miss the kilts and the mud and the Highlands, or was it refreshing to have such a different setting?
He's a Scotsman in this French court, and so the kilt is still there. But also, I think he is partly a shadow of himself for the first few episodes. I think that's reflected in his costume. It's dark, it's covered up, and likewise for Claire's character, I think it's a really interesting journey of discovery for her.
After the initial excitement, it was felt that she had sort of turned into this living doll, and it was women are very ornamental in that time, and they're supposed to sit and look pretty and not cause too much trouble, which is not exactly Claire's forte. And so as the seasons or as the episodes go on, you see her frustration build, and it's not until she finds an outlet in L'Hôpital des Anges, which is a hospital that she gets to sort of use her nursing skills again, that you really see her, become comfortable and be the Claire that we sort of know from before.
Can you talk about a scene that you did that you thought would be routine but turned into something much, much more than you expected?
I have an answer for that. Then I'm going to take Katrina's answer probably.
I knew you were going to steal that.
We have the same one from season 1. The first week we went up to our Craig Nadoon location, and it's the scene where Claire is going up to pick the flowers, and she goes through the stones for the first time, and every single time it's kind of a magical place, and every single time we did that scene where she turns and she hears the stones for the first time, the wind would whip up, and it looks like we used a wind machine, but we didn't. It was magical, right?
No, it's Loch Rannoch, where we film all the stones stuff. It definitely has a magical, ancient quality to it. And I feel like every scene we do up there turns into something really beautiful. We had a scene not that long ago, and we went up. I think we were starting at 7:30 in the morning, and the sun had just come up, and there was the most beautiful light dusting of snow everywhere, and the clouds were parting, and there's a beautiful mountain behind it called Schiehallion, and it was covered in snow, and it really, every time we go there, I think it just takes our breath away.
And then the sun came out and melted the snow, and it turned to mud.
Yeah. So then the art department was running around with rice paper trying to make it look like there was still snow there.
And then all our stones blew away.
That's true.
So if Claire and Jamie had been successful in changing the future, how do you think Scotland would look like now?
I'll let Mr. Heughan answer that.
Wow, that's a good question. Well, obviously, after Culloden, there were the Highland clearances. The Highland culture was kind of eradicated. They banned the use of tartan, of this clan system, of playing of bagpipes, speaking Gaelic. So I guess, yeah, it would probably.
Would we have to subtitle you tonight?
You would.
if
I'd be speaking fluently.
You'd be speaking Gaelic.
I would. Yeah, so I guess it would be a completely different, Britain as well. You know.
Tobias might not be here even.
Once again,
How does that
punching
work?
bag.
How does that
I
work?
just
don't
want to
know.
say I love Tobias. So I never kid someone unless I actually love them. So
But I don't understand. Why wouldn't I be here? I don't understand.
just saying you would have been wiped
As a
out.
mortal enemy of
Oh, I
Scotland.
see,
maybe.
I see.
We would have taken you over. Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Or as a filthy representative of the English, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the Highland Army, they got really close to London and to taking over the capital of Britain, and it was just kind of by chance, almost in a way, that they didn't get all the way to London. It was some guy came up and told them there was a big army waiting for them, so the Scots ran away. But actually, there wasn't an army at all, so they could have gone straight
weirdly,
there.
my name, Menzies, is Scottish.
There is a Menzies Castle.
There's a Menzies
Isn't it?
Castle,
Yeah.
which we shot near. So I don't know which side of the argument the Menzies as it's known in
Yeah,
Scotland,
Menzies.
Menzies clan was on. So a bit of research there for everyone if they want it.
Yeah, answers
Will
on
be
a
for
postcard.
part 2 tomorrow night. No, I'm kidding.
I want to know who you think, or who or what you think the dragonfly is and what it represents.
Oh, I had a theory about this. I can't remember what it was. I think it's, the dragonfly is caught in time in this piece of amber, and it's preserved, and it's lived through many centuries. And I think it's something, it's sort of Claire in a way, I think. She's a woman caught in time, traveling through centuries. That was a great theory.
So my question is, if your character had a theme song to describe themselves, what would it be and why?
I have mine. I sing it all the time on set because Claire's all she really does is put bandages on people. So you might not remember this song, but somewhere in the mid-noughties there was a band called Hot Hot Heat, and they had a song called Bandages, and that's my theme tune.
Can you sing it?
Bandages,
Can you
bandages.
sing it now?
I can't sing it, no. We're in an Apple store. Someone's got iTunes. We can plug it on through.
So you played with a baby bump. What did that feel like for you? Did
So
you guys
good.
have names
So good.
for it? And, how was that for you?
Well, I think Sam did the playing with the bump. I wore it. He played with it. It's interesting. The minute you put on a prosthetic pregnancy belly, for some reason, I don't think I'm the first person to have said this, but you sort of adopt these pregnancy moves where you lean down into your chair and you hold the belly and you have to eat more and you demand foot rubs from your co-stars but no, I really relished playing that storyline this season. It's so beautiful. It's so important to the character and to the couple, and it was a lot of fun. And now I let Sam talk about why he was so obsessed with it.
Yeah, it felt so good. Sort of prod it and sort of do all kinds of things with it. But absolutely, it is. And actually, it's sort of as it got bigger, this bump, we had 3 different sizes. I wasn't so keen on the last bump, but the middle one was probably my favorite. But it was nice to sort of imbue it with life, And there's a scene actually that we asked the writers to kind of change slightly, and it kind of came from Diana, which was about the child becoming present in the room, and it's I think a moment between Jamie and Claire is really nice, is that suddenly this third person is there with them. I never wore it. No, I didn't steal it either. Oh no, I think
That might
they're
be
locked up.
weird.
That would be a bit odd.
That would be a bit odd.
Yeah.
Walk in and you're just got a prosthetic belly on your
nothing going on here.
on your coffee table.
No, take that off.
So we're just about out of time. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. And I probably don't have to remind you of this, but the second season premieres Saturday night on Starz, and it will be available on the new Starz Apple app, on Apple TV, starting tonight at midnight.
Sneak
Thank you.
preview.
Good night.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Coucou les addicts, c'est Aurélie du site Outlander Addict et j'ai un message pour vous. Si cette vidéo vous a plu, n'hésitez pas à vous abonner à la chaîne, à mettre un like ou à partager cette vidéo sur vos réseaux en cliquant sur le bouton partager qui se trouve juste en dessous. Pour prolonger votre expérience, je vous encourage à visiter régulièrement mon site internet outlander-addict.com. Vous y retrouverez des traductions, des articles et plein d'infos et d'actualités sur Outlander. À très bientôt.